What is going on, folks? Again, there's always something to do around the homestead farmstead. And today we have the snowstorm that is coming through, or that is supposed to come through. We'll see if it makes it over the mountain. But with this front coming through, it's a good time to set some traps. It's a good time to get out there. Animals are moving around. So let's see if we can catch something. So here we have our humane small game trap, or not so humane small game trap. Some peanut butter, apples that are going on the worst end of what I can eat. Our squirrel pole here. Have a few nails that we're going to rig up these traps on. I'll show you guys how to rig up the traps and how we rig up this humane trap here. Now this is a nice little thicket to find some small game running around. A mix of pines and oaks, some squirrel nests up here. Sure the rabbits feel comfortable down in them briars and them thickets. Good spot to be at here. Let's set some traps. So what we're gonna wanna do here is find us a nice little spot. I think this spot here is a good spot between these two trees where I can make a nice little cubby with this trap, or something might be tucked away hidden. Gonna unload the goodies. Goodies unloaded. Have our trap. I'm gonna try to set it in here nice and flush with the ground. Disguise that entrance to it. Feels like a nice ground in there. This is not a trap at all. We'll take some leaves. Get over the entrance nice and natural. We are going to set the trap up. Pretty simple. You have a little latch here, just kind of spring loaded. You're just going to bend this down end and lift up. So how these traps work is on the door there's a little panel cut out and there's a little leftover tab in there. That's going to rest on this L bar. And the further you set it to the front, the lighter the trigger will be when they step on that back plate I showed you there. So if you want it to be triggered off by more weight, you're going to set it further to the back of the L on this little bar here. If you want it to be triggered off by lighter weight, you're going to set it further to the front so that when they step on it, it's more reactive. So let's continue to set this thing up. Before we get to the good part of cutting up the apples and getting some peanut butter on there, setting them up for the rabbits and the squirrels, we're going to disguise this trap to look not so robot-y, hunk of metal, shiny, 21st century looking. So let's get some leaves, let's get some sticks, let's get some brush. Let's brush this thing in until it looks like a nice little cubby. Now that that's all brushed in, we'll go ahead and we'll open up our peanut butter, get our apples ready. So we're gonna do is put some apples up, get them stashed in the coop there nice and neat for whatever small game we're looking for. And have a nice little trail that leads to a honey hole in there of apple goodness. Some peanut butter, cherries on top. Yeah, let's do it. And there we have it. We got some apples sliced up through there, some peanut butter rubbed on a few of these leaves, and leads all to the honey pot back there. apples and peanut butter covered apples. Smells good. I'd go in there if I had to. So this here is our squirrel pole. We have our Duke 110 traps. These are very cheap. They're about $4, $5 anywhere online. They come with a chain on it. I'll just screw the chain to the post to where once the trap dispatches your small game, a coyote, a fox, or some other thing isn't able to just run off with it without taking the whole post. So the theory is this thing is too much for a fox or any sort of four-legged freak to be crawling around the woods with. So this keeps your reward right where you want it, having it screwed to the post. So check your traps every day or so, and you won't have any issues with things running off with it. We'll set these traps up. They have these triggers here. I'll show you the triggers. They have these triggers. They're just these little pins, and you'll take and put your bait on that. Like I have these tops from a water bottle, soda bottle. So we have our triggers here, and some people take caps. You'll poke 2 holes in them, and that fits right on it. You can take some pliers and bend the tip of the trigger prongs, and to bend right through the cap and keep it right on there to where the squirrel or whatever small game you're using it for, and whatever variation of this trap you're using it, can stay, the bait will stay there and they'll have to fight it, and they'll be able to trigger it off. The trap does have 3 settings. The trigger mechanism is this 3-notch swivel here, and the outside of the trigger is the lighter setting of the trigger, and the innermost notch is the heavier trigger setting, where it takes more of a oomph to get it to set off. I'm going to set this on the medium setting. Make sure you wear gloves with these traps. They do bite, they do pack a punch. Don't want to break a finger or anything like that. I've had it snap on me. It does not feel the greatest. So protect yourself where you can. Be safe. There are risks to this. Be careful out there and trap safely. Let's set this thing up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this pole just against this here, so it blends in with the rest of the deadfall. Figure out my bait here. You guys tell me, should we use the cap or should we do apples? This time I'm going to do one of each. Let's do one of each. Bam. So I need. So there we have apple slice. I don't know. I'm kind of liking the apple slice. I think I might do away with the bottle cap. Now I want to grab my handy dandy gloves so I don't bite myself. Okay, so here we go. So we have our bait there, we have our trap. So what you're going to want to do is, it naturally tensions itself towards the center. So you're going to flip this clamp outward to where you have this little house shape. And once you have your little house shape, you're going to go ahead and squeeze that down. And you're going to try to grab one of each side, and that'll help you keep that spring back. And now that that spring is set back, you're able to bring that notch around like I was showing you earlier. It's a lot easier to get it held and work around with it once you get that spring back. So don't be too intimidated. Just grab it with a purpose and accomplish that goal really quick to where you're not fatiguing your hands. And you'll get that trap set just like that to where, and I'll bring the pole over to you. It's not a terrible issue. And so here you have the 3 notches. The outermost notch right here is the lighter trigger setting like I was telling you guys, and the innermost notch toward the inside there is the heavier setting towards the P in the trap there. That's the heavy setting on the trap. I'm going to be setting mine in the middle there. You guys see I can work around with it and maneuver it very well without with that clamp being clamped all the way in. So grab it like this and you guys won't have an issue. So now that we have our trap, we're going to get our bait aligned with that notch, and we're just going to lock it in there how we were planning to. And what I do is always keep a hand on the actual spring itself to kind of keep it from biting you. If it were to bite too hard, and pull your hand off very fast. That's the trick. Keep your hand on here while you're setting it with your other hand, and once it's set and it's in the notch and you have it level, pull your hand off fast while gripping it, and then release the tension with your left hand or whichever hand you feel secure with holding the trap. And now you can set the trap on there very carefully. Keep your hands out of the way, and once she's set, she's set. Once you have your trap set, leave it there. She's ready to rock, and we'll move on to the next one. I think I'm going to stick with the apple slices. Apple slices have me very intrigued, so I feel like a squirrel brain should be intrigued as well. Yep, and we'll do the same here. Just be careful of the trap that's above you. Yeah, we'll get this trap set up as well on the medium setting. We'll grab our ends, we'll pull them together, and we have our trap. You have it, get it aligned with both your hands. Once she's aligned, get your steady hand on there and crimp it with your left hand, pull off, and you're good to go. Now your traps are rigged, apple slices on there. If I was a squirrel, I think I'd get got. No need to really disguise it. It's kind of already here with the deadfall. We're just gonna let it be deadfall. We have our other trap there. And now we wait. We're done trapping for today.